Alright, Bristol NASCAR. 4 drivers were eliminated from contention in the NASCAR playoffs. We'll talk about those 4 drivers. We'll talk about the race at Bristol, the excitement, the energy, all of it coming up. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Cameron Simpson and I am a couple days late. Again, always apologize for that. Just yesterday, there was no way, excuse the noise, that I was going to be able to get a video up. Simple, there was really just no way. And I do apologize about that, but anyway, the video's up now, so let's talk a little bit about NASCAR at Bristol. 4 drivers were eliminated from contention in the NASCAR playoffs. We'll get to them a little later on in the video. We'll talk about each of the drivers. And first and foremost, RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, gets a win. The first win for Brad Keselowski as a owner, and the first win for Chris Buescher, I think since 2017. I think that's the last time they won. I think it was Chris Buescher that won back in 2017 for Roush Fenway when it was just called that back a while ago. Wow, this is awesome, and it's great to see a 17 back in victory lane. 5-year losing streak snapped here at Bristol. I mean, that 17 car has ran very decently all season long. This isn't like a man out of nowhere thing. I would say this team has ran fairly good most of this year. And this is not a fluke. This is not something out of the blue that just happened. I would say this has been consistent, and we've been thinking that this would happen for a little while now. And I'm glad to see it happen, especially at Bristol. Non-playoff drivers sweep all 3 races of the first round of the playoffs. Talk about next-gen car. Talk about parity. NASCAR promised parity, and I think they delivered. 19 different winners on the season. Ties 2001 for the most all-time. We just need one more for the record, and I think that is totally possible if you think about who still hasn't won. Ryan Blaney still hasn't won. Martin Truex Jr. still hasn't won, and so on and so forth. Drivers that could win that haven't won yet. So that's very important as well when we look at it, and especially with a super speedway, the Roval, and this next round of the playoffs coming up, we could easily get to 20 people who win a race this season. Isn't that incredible to think of that? For Chris Buescher and his team, huge win. You could feel the energy and how big of a win this was. All 3 of these wins in the round of 16 were huge wins. For Eric Jones, snapping a losing streak himself. For Bubba Wallace, winning his first full-time race win. It was his first time he's won a race that was a full race. And it was a huge win for him too. Obviously, continuing to prove that he belongs in the NASCAR Cup Series. Huge win for Bubba. And today, another huge win for Chris Buescher. I think the same at Bubba. Chris Buescher is still trying to prove that he belongs here in the NASCAR Cup Series. And I think he continues to prove that with today's victory. And he puts himself aside from everybody else. And I think that was really big. Again, we were promised parity this season. We have gotten parity. And I think it is hugely important in NASCAR when so many people complained in the past that there wasn't enough parity in NASCAR. It was always the biggest teams always get the head. And that didn't happen today. But there's also a negative that came out of today's race besides the winner. And that actually had to do with the next-gen car itself. I know it's brought so much parity and stuff, but it's also brought a lot of mechanical failures and more. And we've seen mechanical failures and tire failures, which I won't really blame on the next-gen car, but tire failures were a big conversation on Saturday night. There was plenty of tire failures, and drivers were having problems all over the racetrack today with their cars. So I would say that that is definitely a negative, the tire problems. And the next gen car and equipment was put to the test for the first time on the Bristol short track. The tires blew, engines blew. Kyle Busch blew an engine for the second time in this round. Talk about terrible luck. Crashes ensued, and bad things happened. Problems to this race car happened. And a lot of issues with power steering, especially in the Toyotas. I think within the first lap, Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, and was one other guy complained, or maybe it was Ty Gibbs, complained of power steering issues and pulled their cars. I think Martin Truex Jr. within like a couple laps pulled it behind the garage. So they were all having problems with the power steering and the way the car was working today. That's another problem. That, I think for next year, I love the parity. I love the amount of people that were able to win races this season in the next gen car. But we also need more, I want to say, we just need more reliance. We need to be more reliable on a vehicle to be able to get us through an entire race. And right now, I wouldn't say we're that reliable. All right, before we talk about the playoff drivers, let's take a look at our finishing results. We just talked about Chris Buescher getting the win. Huge, huge win for him and his team. We went over how important it is, especially for this 5-year losing streak. I think 2017 had like a Daytona rainout, or maybe it was the Pocono rain. It was a while ago that they got that win, and now they're back, and they're back better than ever. Chase Elliott finished second, a playoff driver who, after the playoffs reset, puts himself at the top. William Byron in third, Christopher Bell in fourth, Kyle Larson in fifth, Ross Chastain in sixth, AJ Allmendinger in seventh, Cole Custer in eighth, Denny Hamlin finished ninth, another playoff driver there, Kevin Harvick in 10th. Harvick just was, man, he was going to be able to probably win himself in, I think. And then that tire got him, and he was just never able to recover. He needed a win. It was a great day for the 10 team. I'm not the 10 team, the 4 team. He was just never able to get it done. McDowell, top 15. Justin Haley, top 15. Brad Keselowski finished 13th today. Briscoe of 14th. And Corey LaJoie in 15th. Playoff drivers that are outside of that, Cindric in 20th. He barely sneaks himself into the playoffs. Logano in 27th. Eric Almirola in 28th. Bubba Wallace in 29th. Ryan Blaney in 30th. Austin Dillon got caught up in an accident. Alex Bowman in an accident. Kyle Busch had an engine problem. Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr. all had steering issues in today's race. Those are your top finishers. Let's switch gears. So we'll look at the round of 12 and everything about it in a second. But here are the playoff grids with those 4 drivers in red eliminated from the playoffs. Those 4 drivers are Kevin Harvick. And let's talk about Harvick for a second. A playoff driver, a champion, and someone who was carrying a ton of momentum into these playoffs after winning 2 races, and I think he won back-to-back, didn't he? And that was incredible for him and his team, and I think a lot of people had that to go for him. And it's not for a lack of effort for Harvick. They had that really terrible bad luck fire at Darlington. Kansas, they got caught up in a crash, and today they were on track to maybe win the race when they had a tire failure. So again, no lack of effort. That car showed speed. They should be in the next round. The car failed them in Darlington, and if that car didn't fail him in Darlington, he might make it in. He might make it in on points. I don't know. I'm no expert. Well, that's just a theory for you. Austin Dillon. I think it's a guy that we expected to get eliminated from this round. Obviously, a driver that got lucky. And the luck just couldn't continue throughout this round. I mean, today, he was caught up in a crash. I mean, he never really was showing enough speed where I would say he was a true contender for a championship or even the next round. Tyler Reddick, though, and for so many of you out here, probably was one of your championship picks. I know it was for a lot of guys on TV, a fellow NASCAR YouTuber. A lot of people picked Tyler Reddick, and he was definitely a dark horse to win the championship. But he definitely wasn't due to get eliminated in the round of 16. What a tough night for RFCR. Both of their drivers eliminated. One of their drivers of the future eliminated. It was a very tough night for them, but for the 8 car especially, they were a team that should have made it to the round of 8. They were one that was knocked out. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. They should have made it to the round of 8. There's no excuses for that. I think that's where they should have went, and maybe the Final 4. I think I had them going to the round of 8, didn't I? Maybe I had them round of 12 eliminated, but they should probably be going to the round of 8. But instead, they're getting eliminated in the round of 16. That just shows how tough and competitive this playoff field is this season. And again, no lack of effort from the 8 team. They put in a ton of work. It just wasn't their round. It just didn't come together. And for Kyle Busch and his 18 team, what a horrible round. They didn't finish better than 20th. They didn't even finish in the top 20 at all this round. With that type of finishes, you're just not going to make it in the round of 16. Even if Chase Elliott had the round Kyle Busch had, a guy like Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, if they had a round like Kyle Busch did, they wouldn't be making it into the next round. It was horrible. It was honestly disgusting. It was a tough round. It was bad luck. 2 engine failures. 1 just crew problem maybe that Kyle spun himself out, so driver error. It was just overall a really, really bad, terrible round for Kyle Busch and company. Those 4 drivers eliminated. Now let's take a look at the round of 12. These are your drivers. If you couldn't tell yet, the playoff field resets. So all the points reset, and these are your drivers in the next round in order. Chase Elliott, he's carrying 40 points into the next round, and he's got another huge lead over Joey Logano. Joey Logano at 25 points. Ross Chastain is in third. He's got 20 points. Kyle Larson in 19 with 19 points in fourth. Byron 15 points in fifth. Hamlin 13 points in sixth. Bell and Blaney both 13 points. They're ahead of the cut line. Briscoe is down. He's minus a couple points. He only has 9 points. Bowman only has 7. Suarez has 7. And Cindric has 6. So Briscoe is 5 points out. Bowman is 2, 5, 6, 7 points out. It's crazy. It is very crazy. 6 points out is Bowman. And you hate to see it. You hate to see it for these guys. But look, the guys below the cut line, Suarez, Bowman, Briscoe, this round is crazy. There are 3 tracks in this round. Texas, which is probably your most predictable one. The Roval, which a lot of people are looking at Ross Chastain to potentially get beat up at the Roval. He might have a bad race there. And Talladega. I mean, who knows what's going to happen at Talladega? Anything could happen at Talladega. So everything's on the table. All cards are on the table, especially with a guy like Kyle Busch out. A guy like Kyle Busch, who said Ross Chastain has too many enemies to make it far in these playoffs. He might be paying Ross Chastain a favor. I don't know. It is to be said. But if you notice in this field, only 3 champions, prior champions, are on here. So only 3 people have a chance to tie Kyle Busch with 2 championships among active drivers. Isn't that crazy? There's a 3 out of 12 chance that we will have a repeat champion. That's insane. But all those guys, they have a chance. They do have a chance to continue forward and make it into the next round. Don't get me wrong on that. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. Let's put this on hit the gas or hit the brakes. It's Bristol, baby, and it didn't disappoint. Does Bristol, ever disappoint? The concrete Bristol, dirt Bristol's a different story. I'm not the biggest fan of dirt Bristol, if you haven't got that yet. But I love concrete Bristol. It is literally my favorite racetrack that we have and that we go to on the schedule year in and year out. It's amazing. It should be on the schedule, and it is, and I'm glad it is. This race is definitely a hit the gas. I'm gonna give it an A-. Racing was amazing. It was 2-lane Bristol for most of the race. It was single lane, but there was times you could make passes. It was much better than what we saw at Martinsville in the spring. We'll see Martinsville again. Short track racing, we can't wreck short track racing. And let's hope we don't. And so far, Bristol stayed basically the same as I remember it. I still wish it had 2 dates, but that is a song for another time. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, subscribe, like, share this to your friends. Maybe they'll subscribe. You never know. 95% of you are not subscribed. That leaves 5%. I think it's 5.3 to be exact. of you who are subscribed. Isn't that crazy? That's what I say. Make that number go way down on the not subscribed and way up on the subscribed. See you guys on the next one. Peace out.